Hey, this is Lady C. Welcome to my studio. Now, in the upcoming tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to begin editing your book. Check the link in the description to get instructions on how to find and download a KDP template. And now, we are ready to start working with this manuscript. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and double click on this file to open it. And it's going to launch Microsoft Word. And we're going to go into the document. What I would like to do is maximize my window so I can have a full screen. Notice how we are in protected view. And because we went to a trusted source, we feel comfortable enabling editing. So all you got to do is choose Enable Editing at the top. All right. Now, you're going to also notice that you've got like two pages, like you got book title and the copyright page is showing up, as well as the navigation pane. Now, the navigation pane is interesting. So we're going to go ahead and keep that pane open while we're working. And so the beauty of working with the navigation pane is I can either navigate using the pages view. Like for instance, if I'm on page 30 and I want to go to page 1, I could then just use the pages view and click on the 1, which will give me the book title page. And if I want to scroll through here and go to my table of contents, I could then just look at the screen and identify what I feel is the table of contents and click on that page. Now, I can also use my headings navigation. So if I've already identified my headings and I want to go through my document using my headings, I could just go there and just choose the items that have a heading on it. And I could then navigate through the document using this navigation pane. But in the majority of this tutorial, I'm going to be navigating using pages. Okay? I'm just going to go to the far right-hand side of my screen, and I'm just going to change my zoom setting until I can only see the book title page on the screen with the navigation window on the left, okay? Because I only want to work with one page at a time right now. And the next thing I'm going to do is kind of give you an orientation to these non-printing characters. So the non-printing characters would be like the backwards looking P right after the word book. You're going to see like an end of section break there. And then, of course, if I put a page break in there, I could just do Control Enter. That gives me a page break. So we're going to scroll back up to the document here. Notice page break. Okay? So there's a page break. And at the end of this second page, right by author name, it's an end of section. Okay? So those are two different breaks, and we're going to talk about what they mean in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Control Z. And what Control Z is going to do, it's going to undo my last action, which means it's going to go ahead and get rid of that page break. Now, a lot of people might not want to use these non-printing characters as they're working, but if you are formatting a book, you're going to need to have that on. Because if you delete your section break by mistake, then you're going to mess up all of the formatting of your book. So I would recommend you keep it on. But if you want to see how to turn it off, I'll go ahead and show you. What you're going to do is scan your eye on the ribbon at the top. It's right in the paragraph grouping here. There is a button that looks just like these little symbols on the screen, that backwards P. It is called the Show Hide button. And the Show Hide button is a toggle button. If I click on it again, it's going to turn off those Show Hide symbols. So they don't actually print. They're just actually items on the screen to show you what the formatting marks are. Okay? Now, if I turn it back on, see how it toggles it back on? Okay. And notice how I didn't remove the cursor, because the cursor, the blinking cursor, is where you'll start typing when you're getting ready to add text to a page. So you need to know where that is at all times, okay? So I'm going to turn the show hide back on. And then what I'm going to show you about this manuscript or this book template is there's something about these section breaks that is going to mean a lot to you. And you're going to understand it much, much better once I show you a few of the screens that's very necessary for you to understand that you don't want to accidentally delete any of these sections, okay? But first of all, let's just go up here to the navigation pane. And right now we're on headings. But what we're going to do is click on the Pages tab here. And you're going to see like a bird's eye view, like you're going to see like a thumbnail of the pages. In some cases, you're going to see there's a blank page. In other cases, you're going to see the numbering. So like the first, 6 pages, they're going to all be numbered in Roman numerals. So Roman numeral I, and then I, or just 1, 2, 3, you understand. The system is able to number these pages like this because they're in a section. Because each section can act like its own document, as it were. And that's what the beauty of having a section break is. It allows you to take a section of the book and give it a different page numbering, page style, headers, footers, margins. You can use anything you want to do in each section can be different from the previous section. And that's the beauty of using these sections, okay? Now, you're going to notice that on page number 4, it's a blank page. If I click on it right there from that navigation page, is it a blank page? Oh, here it is at the top. It is. When I clicked on it, it made me think that I was on the table of contents page, but because you see the blinking cursor goes down there, right there at the bottom of the page on that paragraph symbol, you can see that you're actually on the page previous to the contents page. Okay, so you're not actually on the contents page. Okay, and then of course, page number 6. Click on the right one here. That's a blank page right here. It's a Roman numeral. But in actuality, it's not even printing out the Roman numeral because I don't even see it printing on this page at all. But anyway, that's how you would get to your pages. So like, let's say you knew where you wanted to go in the structure of your book as you start to type, then you can actually jump around to the pages. You can actually see on page 5 that this is a TOC. So if I click on that, you see how it jumps me straight to the table of contents. And if I want to go back to my book title page, I can just come and click on the book title page, which is the first one here in that listing. So you see how you can use this navigation pane to jump around in your book so that you can find the various sections that you're working with. Now, you can also use this scroll bar and you can drag that bar down. So let's say I want to go to the very last part of my book, on page 30 there. I could just drag that bar all the way down. And then all I got to do is just click on 30, page 30, and here I am. Here's a word about the author. So that's how you would navigate the document. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go back to the top, and I want to just kind of talk about certain sections. And what I want to do is talk about the book first. I'm going to go to page 1, and it's the book title. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this text, and I'm going to type The Fox and the Hen. Okay? Now, if I keep typing, there's something called word wrap. and it'll just go ahead and word wrap. But what if I just want to just make it word wrap just anyway? I don't really want to make the fox and the hen on the same line. Well, I could just highlight the text, the hen, and I can just drag and drop it to that paragraph symbol there, to in front of that paragraph symbol, and then notice how it just moves it over there. So you can do dragging and dropping. I could have cut and paste. I could have even deleted it and retyped it. It's just all in a matter of what you want to do. And the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight the author name, and I'm going to type in my name. And you notice how when I selected that text, it went all the way across and it even highlighted the section, end of section, but it did not get rid of the section break. So that's a good thing. So now you've got that part of your book written. But now what I want to do is I want to change gears, and I want to kind of show you what these margins look like. So if I go to the end of section and I just double click my mouse, it's going to open up the page setup window. And when you open up the page setup window, it's going to give you 3 different tabs where you can actually look and see how this section is being formatted. So as you're working in the template, it's very important that you understand how these pages are arranged. So like we're on the layout tab because it was on, no, we should be on the, let me just make sure. Okay, so let's make sure we're on the margins tab because we want to go from left to right. You see there's the margins, the paper, and the layout. And we're only dealing with the name of the book, and that's the first page. So on the margins tab, it shows you what your margins are supposed to be. And you're going to notice that your gutter is 0.14. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to deviate for 1 second. I'm going to hit the cancel key. And then I'm going to go over to PowerPoint. Okay. Now, what I have here is a document, a PowerPoint document. And what I did was I wanted to show you what the margins look like if you were to create a Microsoft Word document that's a plain old default document, a regular document that comes out the box. It does not have a 6x9 book layout format. And what you're going to be getting is like 1-inch margins all the way around, because you see here on my page that I got my top, left, bottom, and right is all 1 inch, and the gutter is 0 inches, okay? And the gutter position is left. It's portrait, and this setting is being applied to the entire document. But when you look at the book layout to the right, this is the one that is the 6x9 book layout. And this layout is showing you the book title page because I labeled it accordingly. Now notice the differences in the margins on these pages. You see how different that is? Okay. So you're going to even notice that there is something called an outside border, because before you had an inside. I'm sorry. Because before you had a top, left, bottom, and right. And this one you have a top, inside, bottom, and an outside. And this is all to do with this book that we're working with, okay? So this is what the template is doing here. Now, and the reason why it's doing that is because we're choosing to mirror the margins. So like we've got the orientation here as portrait. We've got multiple pages, and it's going to mirror the margins. And take a look at the bottom. It says apply to this section. So each one of these sections is going to have specific formatting according to the type of content that you're going to be working with on each book page or section. Now, it's very important that you understand that for the majority of these sections, they're going to pretty much be the same thing, okay? With a few slight changes depending on where you are. So I'm going to go back into a different PowerPoint presentation this time. And this time I'm going to go to the PowerPoint presentation that's going to still be on the book title page, but it's going to show you all 3 tabs so that you can see them on the screen at once and you can see the differences of what's happening. So if you were to choose the paper tab at the top, it shows the custom size is 6x9, and it shows that it's applied to this section. And of course, it's showing the default tray is auto select. Now, your paper source may look different depending on what type of a computer or printer that you have, okay? And then the third one is the layout tab. And notice how on the layout tab, it's showing that your section will start on a new page. Headers and footers will have a different first page header. And it also shows you from the edge, headers and footers, it shows there'll be a different first page. Then you've got your header and footer sizes, and you've got your page vertical alignment is centered. So the vertical alignment of your book page is centered vertically. Then you have applied to this section, and you're all set. So what I recommend you to do is you need to understand how each one of these sections is formatted. Because if you make a mistake, then you can know exactly what you need to do to correct it. Okay? Now, I'm going to go to the next page. This is the copyright page. I'm not going to go through every single step here like I did the previous page, but this is something that you might want to do for the other pages where you can see that for the copyright page, things are pretty much the same with the exception of the margins. Notice how the margins, top and bottom, 1 inch, and and then it's got the inside is 1 1/4 and the outside is 1 inch. So that's a little bit different than what we had before on the previous page or section. But there's something that all of these have in common. They're all being applied to a specific section. And now I'm going to the last page in this presentation. And this is going to be about the chapter pages. Now, the reason why I'm going to go ahead and just show you this one is because you're going to be working with more chapter pages than you're going to be doing anything else, because that's going to be the bulk of your book, okay? And so you'll notice how your chapter pages are set up. Now, you might want to get a screen capture of my tabs here so that you might want to go back and look at it if you need to later. But this is only for the 6x9 inch book, okay? And most of these are all mirrored, okay? So when you see this, it says mirror the margins, you know? All of it is portrait. Then, of course, you've got this section, and you've got the different type of paper and the layout, okay? And so that's basically it when you're looking at how this document is constructed by going through to look at the margins. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back into my document, and I just want to kind of show you how I got there. So what I showed you before was a PowerPoint presentation with all of the items on the screen. I got a screen capture of every tab showing everything up on one screen. But let's talk about how I got there. So what we're going to do is choose layout, and then all you got to do is come over to margins, and then come down to custom margins, and this is how you get into this screen. Okay? So it's layout, margins, custom margins, and then All you got to do is choose it defaults on the margins tab, and then you just go to paper and you go to layout. And at that point, it takes you to the various screens that I just showed you previously. Okay. So this is where you would go to work with all of your settings in the document. Okay. I'm going to cancel out of here. And now what I'd like to do is take you to the table of contents page. And so I'm going to go ahead and just click on that thumbnail. It's going to take me to the table of contents page. Now, if you're going to use this template, it's actually expecting you to manually type all the page numbers in on this contents page, okay? But you don't want to do that. It's expecting you to manually enter the page numbers. And I know you're not going to want to do that because once you start working with your book, you're not going to want to have to manually do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to chapter 1. And I believe it's this one right here, this thumbnail right here, because it looks like it has a little bit of text on the page. Okay, so I'm going to be on chapter 1, and I'm going to just give it a name. And I'm just going to call it The Fox. Okay. I'm now going to go to the Home tab at the top. And I'm going to select the text, The Fox, drag to select the text. And then I'm going to go to heading 1. And I'm going to apply that heading 1. Now, notice how the heading 1 changed my text. Okay, so now all I have to do is go in here and modify the heading. So just right click on heading 1, choose modify, and now what I'm going to do is change it back to Garamond. All I have to do is start typing G-A-R-A, and then once it starts to show up in the window, hit the enter key to go ahead and accept the name of the font, come to the 16 point, click on the drop down, change it to 14. The next thing I'm going to do is go to the color strip here that shows blue. Click on the drop down, choose black. I'm going to click on the center button. And the last thing I'm going to do is change the font to uppercase. I'm going to choose format, font, and then I'm going to choose all caps and click OK and OK again. And now you'll notice that my heading is the same as it was before we applied the heading style. So now let's go ahead and add some more or apply some more headings to this document. What I'm going to do is go to the acknowledgments page because that has a heading 1 on it as well. I really don't even have to highlight the text. I can just have my mouse pointer somewhere in the text and then choose heading. This is heading 1. I'm going to go over here. So we already did number 2 with the fox. The next thing we're going to do is go to chapter 2, and we're going to rename this chapter to the hen and make sure it has a heading 1 on it. And then we're going to go to number 3, and we're going to change this to the foxtrot. Okay, so now we've got like about 4 different heading styles applied here. And the whole goal of this thing is to identify these headings so that it can auto-generate the table of contents. That's what the heading styles will do. And these are all first level headings in the book. So what we're going to do now is just go to the table of contents. Now, if you had a subchapter, then it would be heading 2. So like if I came in, let's just say I'm going to just go to the foxtrot, and I'm going to just come here and just kind of like hit the enter key a couple times, and then just have one called subheading. And then, of course, my mouse pointer is blinking somewhere in that text. So now I'm going to click on this little drop down here so I can see where the heading style 2 is. And here it is, heading 2. There's a subheading. So that would be my subheading. But understand this, if you want to go in there and change these, the font for the subheading, just follow the instructions I showed you previously on how to change the text for the heading styles because that's already been done here in this lesson. But now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over here to the pages, navigation, and choose what I believe is the table of contents. Click on it. And then, of course, notice how I'm in here now. And I know this is a table. And that's why, like I was saying before about these show hide characters and how it's so important to have them on so that you can see what you're working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right here and point to this four-headed arrow, click on it. It selects the entire table. In order to get rid of a table in Microsoft Word and everything that goes along with it, you have to cut it. So I'm going to choose Control X on the keyboard. At that point, it leaves me with a blinking cursor. So now I can go up here to References, and then the first option on the ribbon on the far left is Table of Contents. Click on it. I'm just going to choose the first option, and notice how it's going to put in your table of contents. Notice how the subheading is indented under the foxtrot. So at that point, you can see how this runs. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to the hen, because I want to just show you something really quick when you're working with this table of contents. So if you go in here and you add something to this chapter, the hen struts. Okay, so you just added something there. And then if you want the table of contents to get updated with the name of this item here for this title, because we've modified it, go back to the table of contents, simply right click in the table of contents and choose update field. And I always choose update entire table because mainly if you're only going to be changing a page number, it's only the first option. But since I want to make sure that that heading gets updated, I'm going to choose entire table. So then choose OK. And then you're going to notice how the hen struts shows up in this table of contents. So anyway, that is how you would work with a table of contents. Okay, so the next thing I just want to call your attention to is how to work with section breaks. And the main thing that you need to know about these section breaks is when you're using a section and you divide your document into multiple sections, you can choose different formatting for each section. So like, for instance, if I'm here on the book title page, I'm looking for the Roman numeral numbers. Let me go down, let me find it for you. There's a part of this document that's numbered using Roman numerals. And that would basically be right here on the acknowledgements page. So when you go here to the acknowledgements page here at the bottom of the screen, you're going to notice there's a Roman numeral I. Okay. So, but then when you get further down into the document, you're going to notice that there's a page 1 on the chapter 1, the fox. And so if I take you over to insert, and then we're going to go down to the footer, because this is all taking place in the footer. And then we're going to choose edit footer. So the main thing that you need to know here is when I go up to the top and I go to that footer, I'm going to go to the acknowledgements page. You're going to notice that it shows in the footer, first page footer, section 7. Okay. But when you go to the very next page, you're going to see a header that shows same as previous. But notice how the footer on the previous page does not say that. So if it actually said same as previous, then it would allow the page number to continue from the previous section. So when you go down here to the first page that has number 1, it just says first page footer section 9, starts page numbering at 1. So once again, if it says same as previous, it continues the formatting from the of the styles of the it continues the page numbering style from the previous section. So Let me go to the next page here, book title, same as previous. So in this particular book template, what it's actually doing is continuing the same book title on every page. But if you wanted to change that up a bit, you would have to remove same as previous. You would not want to use same as previous if that was the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the table of contents header. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to insert. So I'm going to start on the table of contents page, and I'm going to choose insert on the menu bar. I'm going to go over to header, and I'm going to choose edit header, just to kind of show you how this works. In fact, I probably should just show you in a whole new document, because if I start with a brand new document, you could probably get this better. So let's do that. So I'm going to create a new document, and then I'm going to create 2 more pages. So I'm going to do Control N. So now you're going to notice that there's 3 pages in this document. Now what I'm going to do is I would like to, on the 3rd page, enter a section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to layout, and I'm going to come down to breaks, and I'm going to choose next page. So now I've got a section break. And again, let me go up here and put on my show hide. Oh, it's already on. Okay, good. So there's the section break. All right. Hit the enter key a couple times to get that off the page break there. So now my section starts on page 4. So what I want to do is I want to put a heading on the first page. So I'm going to go to the first page, and I'm going to go to insert, and I'm going to come over to header, and I'm going to choose edit header. And I'm going to say, this is a test header. Okay. Now, once I'm in the header, I can also come into my main document, point in there, double click, and it brings me back into my main document. And you're going to notice that my header shows up and it's grayed out. So if I needed to edit that header again, I could just simply come in here, double click, and I'm in the header. So that's another way to get into the header besides going to insert header. I'm going to double click back into my document. I'm going to page down. You're going to notice that all of my pages has a header in there. This is a test header, even the one that is on its own section. Okay. So that's why I want to bring you into this other document, because I want to just show you in a blank document how this works. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my 4th page, which is actually another section. And I'm going to go and I'm going to double click right in the gray text where it says this is a test header. Now what I want to do is I want to unlink this from the previous section. So I come up to the ribbon, I choose the link to previous to turn that off. And now I can actually delete this. Okay. Now, so I just deleted the text, and then I double click back in my document. And if I page up, you're going to notice that these other pages still have the header in it. But it's the next page, because see, this is page number 3 that I'm on right here. It's the one after the section break. You see the section break on that page 3? It's the very next page that header is now gone. So that's how you do that. You create your document, and then you section off your pages, and then you go into the system and you tell the computer to unlink the sections from each other. And then what it will do is it will allow you to put a different heading in various sections, in different sections. So now if I want to go into the section here, I can type in, today is a good day. Okay. So now, see that? I page up. I'm on page 4. You see today is a good day in the heading. on page 4, because that's a different section. You page up, you see this is a test header. See? So now, if I want to create another section, I can then go back to layout, choose breaks, choose next page, and notice how today is a good day is still showing up. It's showing up from the previous section. But in order for me to get that out of there, I got to go back into this header of this section, double click, and then click on link to previous. Now, when you turn off that link to previous, it doesn't automatically get rid of the text. So you would have to then go in there and type the text or select the text or whatever to replace it. So highlight the text just like you're editing a regular document, and then just type, it's Friday. Whatever you want your heading to be. I'm just doing this as a test, okay? So I'm going to go back and double click into my document, and now I have a document that has 3 different headings. That one has, it's Friday. This one says today is a good day. And this section shows this is a test header. So I just wanted to show you how this is done in a blank document so I wouldn't further confuse you in the other one. But if you go back into that template and you apply these same principles in that template, then that's exactly what will happen in that document. A lot of times people don't like to use someone else's template because they don't know how they created it. So if you wanted to use the margins that I showed you previously in this exercise, along with the steps I'm showing you right now, you might want to go ahead and just create your own template so that you can have complete control over your document. Okay, so I'm just going to make one final comment on this tutorial. And I just want to just take you back to the insert menu and just show you that your header and your footer are 2 separate entities. So when you want to go into your header and work, it's going to be separate from the footer. Okay, so let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So like right now, we're on page 1, section 1, and I'm actually in the header right now, and I'm going to double click to go into my main document. And when I page down, you're going to notice there's page 1 on that first page, but you're going to also see a bird's eye view of another header that says Friday is a good day. So that's the second section. And we know this because, it's in the header. I double click on that. I'm right there. It shows header section 2. And you're going to also notice that link to previous is not turned on. Okay. But if you page down to the footer and you click in the footer, you're going to notice that link to previous is on. So it's showing same as previous at the bottom. So my page numbers can still flow from the previous section, but I can actually turn off link to previous in the header of the same page in the same section. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say the header and the footer are working independently of each other. So anyway, this is how you would work with sections using Microsoft Word. All right, now, I hope you enjoyed these tips, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.